All right, let's see. All right, nothing. Oh, there it is. Had to re-download the system. Well, for the broadcast software, it's mine was so old, I guess, and it's not supported by Apple, so it wasn't automatically updating. So if anyone's there, hello, sorry, I had so much issue with the broadcasting, and it looks like the camera's really far away. That's so weird. And hey, Richard, I can't. That's actually probably not a bad thing though. You could see the guitar better. It just seems a little high. Let me aim it down a little bit. So, Bruce, is Bruce here? Thank you, Bruce. So, I didn't get notifications this morning. I have a notification at 8 and 8:30 to do my live stream, and they didn't show up for some reason. And my sisters are in town, and they would have been on their way to the airport now, but their flights all got canceled because they're flying back to Boston, and Boston's under at least 2 feet of snow right now. So I think, in fact, they're concerned because their houses may have lost power. Both of them. One lives in near Plymouth, Massachusetts, and the other one, my other sister, lives kind of near the Connecticut, Rhode Island border. And so, like, and they both. Well, no, my older sister has a cat. Somebody was taking care of it, but she was expecting to be home today, so she's not. And now their soonest flight they could get out was Thursday. So I mean, it's worse things to be stuck in 80-degree weather when all your friends are under 2 feet of snow. But yeah, all the airports are closed. And we'll see if they can even get out Thursday. I don't know. Have any idea? We have enough room for them, so it's no problem folding them in. But I would want to be home, even though the weather's bad. You want to be taking care of any issues you might be having. So I think Lee's power is off. My little sister's power is off in Plymouth. She's not too. She's about 15 minutes from the ocean, so. The winds there are insane. So that's kind of what's happening. I got all the admins here. Yeah, so this is new software. So it's like it looks the same as the old one, and it doesn't. It has all the exact. In fact, it saved all my previous scenes. All these previous scenes. But yeah, it's just weird. So, and it's been weeks since I've done this. So I'm a little out of practice. And because they were here and we were just talking, so it didn't feel like a Monday. Normally Monday, Beth goes to work, it's first day in the house alone. And I've been slammed. And I can already tell you, I think I'm here next Monday, but the next Monday I won't. And so I've got just a lot of things going on. I have the GDC concert that I'm prepping for, and so I'm playing with the orchestra again like I did last year. So I'm starting to get music. I wish I was getting more music. Last year I had almost all of it. In fact, I'm going to email Brian and let him know that I would love to be getting. Let's see. So I'm just going to tell them I just need some charts in advance. Sorry. I log in and I just do office work. I can eat. I could just have a meal right in front of you. You know, people watch pretty girls have meals. I don't know, because they're sad. Okay, I just sent it to you. All right, that'll maybe rattle his cage a little bit. One of the arrangers is sending me stuff. The other one's not, and last year I had about a month to work on it. I'm going to warm up my hands a little bit. And I had a month to work on it, and now it's getting down to 2 weeks, and I'd kind of like to, because some of the stuff is pretty hard. I got some hard stuff already, and it's not too bad. Actually, I kind of made kind of an executive decision on one of the things. They sent me something, and it's probably an exact takedown from the game. So this is going to be all game music, and you'd be amazed how much there is. The show is an hour and a half. Last year it was an hour, so it's a little bit longer this year. But the one of the games, it felt like to me that they'd kind of written out a guitar solo or something, and I'm like, can I just improvise a guitar solo? And then there's some lines that are doubling the strings, and I said I'll do those, but this like 6-bar phrase here, can I just shred? Because it's a little bit easier. Now, the thing that's interesting, about like doing that, for example, this is just more of a mental exercise, but going back and forth from reading notes to improvising, which is pretty standard for a jazz gig. Like you do a jazz gig and you got a chart in front of you and say it's, you know, what's that song? No, is it? Anyway, you go from that to improvising over those same changes, so you're using right brain and left brain kind of thing. And the same thing with this, I'm like sight reading and all of a sudden going to soloing and then back to sight reading. It's a little bit of like a bouncing back and forth in just two sides of your brain, but it's musicians are pretty good at that, at least jazz musicians, and that's kind of how I studied. So everybody's talking. So how many people are snowed in? Well, that's also true. Yeah, Sadie. She's got a cat, though. She's worried about her cat. Although the heat, she has, I think it's propane. So I don't know if it runs on its own without electricity, but my older sister's more in the country. She's got a house with 2 barns on it because she's a painter. So she has studios. So Bruce had mentioned about something about writing melodies, and he had heard somebody post a song. I think he said it was AI. And we can talk about AI more, but I haven't really done any research on it so much. Yeah, I mean, I have. Does my Taylor cut away? I think my Taylor cuts away. I think, yeah. Something about, I just like the look of a regular, non-cutaway guitar. And I think sonically it makes a subtle difference. You got a little bit more body, so it's probably more low end on a non-cutaway acoustic. If you're plugged in direct and, it doesn't, if you're going, like, if you're plugged in, it doesn't have any effect on the tone, I don't think. But yeah, there are times where I've had to kind of play. But now there's a classical guitar technique, all right, when you're doing like Segovia scale. So like let's see, let me do A. Well, first off, I wouldn't be sitting this way. I'd be sitting this way, all right. So that also helps with getting up here. But okay. And so you'll see where my thumb is here. It's bent back like this, and my first finger is collapsed. See that? See my collapse that knuckle? And then that kind of acts as like between the thumb and the first finger kind of acts as like a pivot point. And I wouldn't want to have to necessarily right? I don't think I've done my Segovia scales in a while. It's different going up than it is coming down. But that whole thing is, yeah, it gives you a little bit of excess. Now, if I do a lot of, if I were to I might, yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't go up there very often because it's not easy to get to, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it was 24 in my sister's house, but it felt like -4 or something, I think she said. If it gets too cold, it won't snow. So if it's 0, generally it won't snow when it's 0 in the U.S. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so oh my gosh, yeah, that you had. So what's your elevation, Holly? The like Pasadena, the mountains behind Pasadena, I think are the top of the mountain, 6,600 feet. So I think the snow got down to 600, or I mean down to 6,000 feet. So it was just like a little dusting on top. Okay, but anyway, Bruce had said something about we've been kind of talking about songwriting. Bruce had said something about rhythm and with lyrics and melodies and things like that, and finding ways that things works. And it is tough. Like when I don't have that book here, but when I would write lyrics and melodies, oftentimes I would have to radically change how I said something to make it fit. It always cracks me up. I look at the Black Eyed Peas and my friend Taboo's. I'm friends with Taboo, who's one of the 3 Ps. But I feel like a lot of times they'll take a syllable and just keep repeating it because they want the melody to keep going, but they don't have enough words. So it's like, hey, Tom, 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 Strahle. Tom, 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 Strahle. They won't fill it in with words. And I'm like, and that's kind of almost their thing. So, I don't know if it was like intentional or they were just like, screw it. Let's just say the same thing over and over again. I might write that way if I were doing like some kind of dance track or something, where it would, lyrically, I don't think lyrically it ever makes sense, but where it would make it fun. And I think that's kind of the P's I think of when I think of the P's music. I think of fun music and dance and clubs and just having a good time. So when I'm writing folk lyrics, you're not going to do that kind of thing for the most part. I think if you study Dylan, Dylan didn't have any rules that he wrote to. He might have tendencies, and I know that he would just sing. Like I knew someone that played with him, and they basically said they just had to get used to it because he wouldn't do the song the same way twice. And so it might be a 13 bar phrase, it might be a 14 bar phrase, it might be a 16 bar phrase, it might be a 12 bar phrase, it might be 12 and a half bars. He might do it different every single time. And they just had to follow him. But they got good at that, especially since he would have, like later, he would have the same band for every show. So, hey, good morning, Joseph. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, more snow up north for you guys means more water for us down here, and so we are no longer in a drought after 25 years, which is great. And especially with the rain we've just gotten, it's even more so. But less important, we could get no rain, it wouldn't matter, because what we depend on is the snowpack up north, and so I'm pretty sure that they're okay. Okay. All right. Good. All right. That Brian, the orchestrator got back to me. There's one thing he said is pretty hard, but everything else is easy. Or well, that's his opinion. Oh, see, I say this all the time, and it's probably not. You know how when you say something about yourself and you know that's not necessarily flattering, and it becomes you make it true. And so I often say I'm better than I think I am, but not as good as everybody else thinks I am. And so oftentimes I'll get parts written for me that like, do you think I'm, Joe Satriani? Well, I think I could cover Joe Satriani pretty well. I don't know. I'm not, but I'm not Guthrie Govan. I know I'm not, I can't do, or Yngwie Malmsteen. Somebody will send me some crazy classical electric guitar thing. I'm like, yeah, it's going to take me a minute. So, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this when we were talking about writing songs, but one of the things that I tell people when they're writing a melody, try to be brutally honest with yourself and look at your melodies and see if you have kind of the same rhythm. You can see if you have the same, you might even just keep repeating the same melody. I told the story about the songwriter that I was working with, and he went from doing, we were doing worship things, and so it was all cover songs, basically doing worship songs that were paid gigs, to he wanted to do originals. And he thought that the band that was doing the paid gigs with him would just happily transition into doing non-paying, original gigs. And to be honest, if I thought he was really good writer, like if I thought he was insanely talented, I might have done free rehearsals. The problem was they were down in Orange County, so I was literally fighting traffic every time we had a rehearsal from Pasadena, maybe driving an hour and a half each way, or one way, and then coming home would be faster. And that got old fast. And then the fact that every one of his songs sounded identical, like he was just rewriting the same song over again. And so me and the bass player and the drummer were having to really work our butts off to try to make every song sound different. Like I had to come up with weird guitar sounds, or, we had to come up with different beats and different bass parts. And we had, we were just busting. It was, to be honest, it was probably a really good lesson for me in trying to figure out a way to make things not sound all the same and diversify or whatever. And that was probably learning things from this. But at one point I kind of hit a wall, and I think I told you the story where I was holding my tongue. But he said, oh, right, before you leave, he said, hey, let me play this new song I just worked on. I think you'll really like it. And we're kind of like, okay. And he played it, and it was exactly like all the others. It was the same feel. He was playing acoustic, and I was playing electric. It was the same feel on every song, and it was like, I didn't say anything, but the drummer said, well, man, that kind of sounds like the other songs. And he said, no, it doesn't. No, it's totally different than the other songs. And I went, oh my God, it sounds exactly, all your songs sound alike. It just unleashed, and I feel bad now, or I did for a while. He actually got me a big gig later, like a year later. He recommended me for this really big gig that I did for quite a while, and so I don't think he was mad at me, but I think it put the flame out. Like and at some point he was going to find that out. And we did I think we did one live gig in Hollywood, and I remember I had to pay like $8 for parking, and for me that was a fortune. And I had 3 little kids at home, and I needed every dollar. And we did the gig, and I don't think anyone was there. And he's talking about, oh, I want to do this club and I want to do that club, and I, it was just, again, if I thought he was like insanely talented, if it was, say I was maybe, and that would have been different. Like if it was someone like Dave Matthews, say like Dave Matthews Band, they were making money pretty quick, pretty early, because they were doing college stuff. So they were kind of, playing the college circuit, and they were getting paid money. And so that, and I played in a band that played at colleges. We did covers, but we were making money. I was happy to do those. I was making, $150 every show, which was a lot back in the 70s and in the late or early 80s. And so, so when you one of the things you want to try to do as you're writing is you want to record. I've got so many songs started on here, not so much lyrics anymore, mostly just guitar riffs. And I've told you why I do that. But and I'll tell you again. But you want to be pretty brutally honest with yourself and go, oh, you know what? And I think Gary writes a lot of music. Gary's written a lot of songs. And I've not been super critical of anything. I'm not like going to judge anybody. So I think the songs I've listened to Gary, I went, those are actually pretty good. I'm like, oh, those are fine. I can see, and I do feel like there's a sweet spot in our age where we write the best music, and I'm way past that. I think the perfect example is watching Paul McCartney's career. Like the stuff, the stuff he wrote when he was 16 was pretty mediocre. But then the band and everything that happened, and then his 20s were the hot, and then even into the 30s, he wrote some amazing songs. But the older he got, the more, and he was already sentimental. Same with John. If John were still alive today, it'd be interesting to see what he'd be doing. But John, his last record was very sentimental and very throwback. There were a lot of songs that sounded kind of like the 50s, right? So I think that's a trend for artists in their 40s to kind of maybe do a tribute to the thing that got them in the business in the first place, like the 50s music that really inspired Paul and John and George and Ringo. They personally technically ushered in the 60s and 70s. They were like they grabbed our hands and brought us with them, kind of thing. And but so I think it would be very, very hard for me to write a relevant full-on song at 64. I just don't, when I'm 64. Yeah, I would never have written When I'm 64 today. Paul wouldn't have written When I'm 64 at 64. He wrote it at 22 or 24 or whatever he was. And he's long past 64 now. He's approaching 84, if he's not already. Let's see. Yeah, he's probably 84. Somebody look up how old Paul McCartney is. An E string tune with high note. Can an E string tune up to a high note? Oh, tune up higher? I rarely tune my E string higher than E. I don't even like tuning to open to E, where you have the A string up to B, the D string up to E, and the G string up to G sharp. I'm not really worried about the A string and the D string, but the G string I'm always a little bit worried because it's the thinnest wound string, and I've broken those before. So, he's 83. Okay, so he'll be 84 in June. All right. Oh, you have dikes. Yeah. Yeah, you're below. Yeah, those are amazing. I mean, the Dutch have it down, man. They figured it out. They've got all sorts of stuff that they engineered to make it possible to live in a frickin' swamp. I mean, there's places like that. New Orleans is like that, but they didn't figure it out. That's why New Orleans got flooded because a dike burst, or the it wasn't the Gulf of America that flooded New Orleans. It was Lake Pontchartrain that was kind of above them, and the hurricane was going. Hurricanes north of the hemisphere go counterclockwise, and so it went to the east of New Orleans and pushed all that water out of Lake Pontchartrain over the dikes. And I think the dikes broke too, but it was a combination, and it just flooded all of that part of New Orleans. It was crazy. But yeah, I don't think I would tune up the E string at all. I might use if I wanted to play like this note, I might use where is it? Oh, it's in there. A spider capo to play one note or something if I wanted to have that high. I've done that before. Let's see, Bruce, Hayden, tune the E or E. Yeah. Whistling is the thing that distinguishes me from every other singer-songwriter. Oh, Gary, you're there. So go with your strength. Yeah, actually, you got to have a hook. I agree. I mean, I think there needs to be some, and you eventually, you find your style. I mean, I think it's good to incorporate different styles in your playing and in your songwriting. But let me come up with progressions like, let's see, So, let me see if I can think of. So I wrote "Home to Mama" with Sam Hook, and Justin Bieber and Cody Simpson recorded it. The funny thing is that when David and Victoria Beckham hired me to teach Cruz Beckham guitar lessons, and now he's got a band, and that's his thing. He's doing a band thing. So I taught him how to play guitar at the beginning. He's taken lessons since then, obviously, because he wasn't. They moved out of L.A., so we stopped taking lessons. I would do online lessons with him during COVID while he was in London. But when the first lesson, I said, "What song do you want to learn?" And he said, "Oh, my favorite song is Home to Mama." And I said, "Oh, so I wrote that?" And he goes, "Wait, you wrote that?" I said, "Yeah." So it's basically D. B minor, A. I don't work hard when it's easy. But I work when it's hard. Girl, I never believed in love until I had it. It's easy. And I'm not used to it. Okay, so it's a little high for me. I mean, I could probably change. Let me pull up the lyrics to that. Sam wrote the top line, meaning he wrote the lyrics and the melody. I wrote the guitar, just the guitar part, which you're like, well, what did you write? It's just a 1, 6, 5, 4 progression. Yeah, it was this. That's weird. Okay, so this isn't too weird, but I love tenths. So that's a tenth, right? I love tenths. And so a tenth to the ninth, and the tenth is the interval. The distance from this note to this note is a tenth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And then here's a B minor chord, played as a tenth. And then I did an A chord, plays a tenth. And I did the same thing, right? And I could have just gone to that, because I wanted to go A to G. I could have just rested on that B note, and that would have made probably more sense. But I was like, I wanted to keep that shape together, right? So I went 3 whole steps, and then here. But I wanted a G. So I ended up with this weird, and that just is weird. It's like here, 10th, 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 9th. So there's a pattern there, and then there's a different pattern. So I'm superimposing kind of two different patterns, right? It's kind of like when you do like a 3 on top of 2. Like, how would I do that? See, so let's see. No. Shoot. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm playing 8th notes here and then I'm playing triplets here. So anyway, I'm playing 2 different patterns, and that's kind of what it's kind of happening there harmonically, not rhythmically. All right, so here we go. Let's see more. All right. So Cody, I mean not Cody, Cruz Beckham actually went in the studio and recorded this. But I don't work hard when it's easy. I put in work when it's hard. Girl, I've never believed in love till I had yours. Sam's a really good writer. Okay, Sam wrote that top line. So he's like, I don't work hard when it's easy. I put in work when it's hard. But I don't work hard when it's easy. I put in work when it's hard. He's singing an F sharp over the G chord, which is really pretty, right? Don't work hard when it's easy. I put in work when it's hard. Great. That's really, really nice. It's beautiful. Girl, I never believed in love until I had yours. I love that lyric. Girl, I never believed in love until I had yours. And then he does, I mean, Sam's really good. I'm telling you. And then he sings the same melody with new lyrics, right? So, this is more than a season, and I'm not just sprung. Right, spring is a season. He's not just sprung, which now he's black, so he's got these kind of urban lingo things that, like, I've never heard that term. I've never heard that phrase before, but maybe it's a thing. I'm not just sprung. I'm not afraid to tell you that you're the one. Okay, now the chords don't change. This is where I feel like Neo is one of the best at this, but this is where a lot of the young songwriters, particularly in the 2010s, they cut their teeth on having to write diverse melodies over the same chord progressions. So where I might, change a chord progression and keep a melody the same, or I might go to a new section and it's new chords and it's a new melody, they're working with a loop. That was the thing. And this was a loop. Now, the hilarious thing about this, when I recorded it, it was my 335 back there. I was playing the 335. I was going direct into Logic, so I don't think I even had any effects on it. And that's what's on the record, so you can look it up. And I did a couple passes like that, really clean to the click, really tight. And then I thought, okay, they may loop that one. Okay, maybe I'll do another one where I'll slap the strings, right? So then I go. Well, then I do hammer-ons. I do that, and then I add the 5th, and I do something like. Something like that, right? So I'm kind of. It's a lot like with ETA, but with that track, I got to the point where, okay, they've got enough now, let me have some fun. Well, the hilarious thing was that when Sam wrote to it, he just took, like, I think it was a 7 times through and looped that. So once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Once you know it, you can't unhear it. But that part back to the original. It's like, no, that should be the biggest time. I thought they, they didn't really change anything, and it was really funny. But it actually, it's one of the few times I've actually heard me play guitar on the radio. I was in a restaurant and the song was playing, and I was like, oh, I know this song. It took me like a minute. Where do I know this song from? And then I realized, oh my gosh, that's me. So, I've never had that. What was that movie with Tom Hanks and the band from the '60s? They had the Oneaters, the Wonders. Okay, so again, I don't work hard from when it's easy. I put in work when it's hard. Girl, I never believed in love until I had yours. It's really nice. This is more than a season, and I'm not just sprung. I'm not afraid to tell you that you're the one. It's great. It's a great melody, right? Well, same chords. The one I wake up thinking about. The one I can run to when I'm feeling down. I mean, he's singing high. Life is so good when you're around. Girl, nobody from the past is beating you right now. So let me see if I can sing it down after, so it's not so painful for you to listen to. The one I wake up to. Let's see. The one I wake up thinking about. Not sure the timing on that. The one I can run to when I'm feeling down. Life is all good when you're around. Girl, nobody from the past is beating you right now. 'Cause I'll take you home to mama, let you meet my friends. 'Cause you don't come with drama, I want you till the world ends. You're way more than worth it, but I don't feel like I deserve it. You've got the pieces, you're my kind of perfect. I mean, it's like 3 distinctive, really good melodies over that chord. Very, very simple 1, 6, 5, 4 progression. Again, I'm in the key of D. The 1 chord is D. The 6 chord is B minor. The 5 chord is A. Common one would be D. Like go to 4, 5. That would be the 50s things, right? Instead of going 4, 5, I went 5, 4. So I just kept going down because it was just the hook I came up with. I don't know. I just like, oh, that's cool. That's basically how it happened. I didn't sit down with a little slide rule on a piece of paper or anything like that. I didn't calculate anything. And then Sam just did this in the studio, and he's like coming up with ideas, and then he sent it to Josh, and Josh played it for Justin, and Justin and Cody were working on a record. And they said, let's put it on the record. And this actually ended up being released. It was the only song from that. We did 10 songs for that record. This is the only one that got released. And there's a guitar solo on it that I didn't play. That was Cody Simpson's guitar player at the time, Andrew Watt, who became a big record producer, produced Elton John and just produced the Rolling Stones. He produced Ozzy Osbourne. He's producing all his idols. I mean, he produced a lot of Bieber tracks and stuff like that. But he was just a kid that showed up and was playing guitar with Cody, and he really inserted himself. I mean, he's super talented, but he really kind of got in there and got really involved in this record. I was just kind of like, hey, Tom, come in kind of thing. Like, I'd go in when I was called. I wasn't just showing up. So I even at one point said, hey, should I just start showing up at these things? And I was told, nope. So I asked and was told no. Andrew, I don't think asked. He just started showing up. So maybe that's a lesson in tenacity, right? But I like the lyrics. The one I wake up thinking about, the one I can run to when I'm feeling down. Life is all good when you're around. Girl, nobody from the past is beating you right now. Because I'll take you home to mama and let you meet my friends. Because you don't come with drama. So I want you till the world ends. You're way more than worth it, but I don't feel like I deserve it. You've got the pieces. You're my kind of perfect. It's great. It's a great lyric. I mean, it's so simple. And it's like, I never would have written that melody. I never would have written that. I never would have written those lyrics. I mean, because at the time I was 50 or something, you know, it would sound, if I tried to write a lyric like that and it goes, oh, shoddy, you know, it would sound awful. So I guess the lesson here is, to some degree, write where you are. Don't try to imitate anybody. Write as much as you can from your whatever comes out naturally. All right. So, like I said, I was playing that. Now you can massage things and make it more interesting. So first off, I'm going to write something that if I want to sing this song, if I'm writing for me, I'm going to write something that I can sing. And one of the tricks to writing, all right, writing for yourself or writing for somebody else, is to, you know, you want the chorus probably, generally, I think if we mapped it out, if we went through every song, every hit song ever written, the chorus pitch-wise would be higher than the verse and the pre-chorus, right? You would tend to go up, all right? And that's pretty common. I'm sure we can come up with some examples where the verses are like, you know, I don't know. There may be some Journey tune where, you know, he's singing way up there and then the choruses are low. That happens. But for the most part, the thing is, I think if you're writing something, okay, if I'm going to write, I know where my voice sounds probably good. I get up that deep, but it sounds like I'm straining. I have a very, very, very narrow range, and I haven't sung in years. So so I can't really write something with a broad range. I have a very narrow range. What you're saying, Gary? Funny how we hold on to the thing we most abhor. We pull up memory and renew the horror and lay down another brick until we discover it's a prison. Is that a lyric? Is that one of your lyrics? If it's not, you should write a song with that lyric. And I think that's sometimes true. That's why songwriting is one of the great purposes of songwriting. Did I say that in the video? Yeah, I said it was therapy. In fact, I felt like a lot of Justin's songs that he wrote over my guitars were just therapy. Yeah, that's a great lyric. Yeah, I feel like sometimes having, writing a song and to deal with something, even if you never play it with anybody, is very cathartic, and I think it can help you in a lot of ways deal with it, get it out. So we're not going to go too long today because my sisters are actually heading out. I think they're going to go to museums and stuff like that today, and that way I can get some work done. It's hard to get work done. There's some work I can't do when there's people in the house because I have like music that I had to sign NDAs for. So for Beth, it's fine. I think the NDAs include Beth, but not anybody else. Like when I'm working on game music, it's crazy. Like I don't even know the names of the games I'm working on a lot of times. Or I'm working on movies, same thing. Sometimes we definitely work with the pop artists. You know, it's all. And generally, to be honest, I don't think Bieber, Justin they never made me sign an NDA. Never had to sign an NDA, which a non-disclosure agreement. NDA is a legal form. And generally what that is, like, for example, when you do an orchestra date for a movie, they'll often have the movie. And in fact, I'm working on a movie right now, and they sent me the whole movie so I could see it because I was helping to create sonics for it. Like, they wanted me to base my guitar tones on the emotions I felt from the movie. It's really cool. And I've done 2 movies this year this way. And 2 different composers, and it's really kind of fun, but the movies are kind of bare bones, and you wouldn't share them with anybody. Like some of the CGI hasn't been done yet, and there's scenes that are cut kind of weird, and So yeah, you can't share it, you can't even talk about it. And so that's why you sign an NDA. And so, and I can talk about in generic terms and general terms, things like that. So that's the chorus, yeah, by the way. Okay. Yeah, we talk about that too. Like, how do you lyrically bring the song into its fruition in the chorus? But what I would try to do, like Gary, is kind of, have that, save it so that your best notes are in the chorus. Like, so if this. So right there, even there, I'm on the B. I'm staying on the B over the C, which creates a major seventh, right? And over the G, I'm singing the C, which is not in the chord. So it creates tension. So the B over the C creates tension. I might do something like that so it breaks up the rhythm of that, so it's not the same thing over and over again. Even 3 times of the same rhythm is maybe enough, and so the 4th time through that progression on the chorus, I might go go to the 5 chord, and then whatever, then it goes back into that for the verse. So if I were writing a verse, then I might take the melody a little lower. The problem is I just wrote the same rhythm on those two. And that's another thing. One of the tricks you can do is like, and again, this is where being really self-aware, self-critical, taking recordings and listening to it. Maybe if you can do modest, very modest music notation, that's that melody. Not hard. You wouldn't have to write the rhythm, but you could write the notes out with the lyrics over it, so help you remember it for one thing with the chords, and then if you couldn't write the rhythm, that'd be great. But that's when you'll see if you have a proclivity to do the same rhythm over and over again. And I've talked about this before. Where do you start? What's your So like, I'm starting the and of 1, right? So if I'm going to start on the and of 1, you got to make sure that every song you do that you're not starting your lyric on the and of 1. 1 da 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 da. So there I started on 2. You see that? So I went ba 1 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 or whatever it was. So then I went 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, and just force yourself. It may be even just a matter of moving your melody over an eighth. Though that's where it's really nice to look at it. And I've done this. I know we've talked about this because I remember doing it where I played the MIDI in and then I moved the melody over an eighth note or 2 eighth notes or forward, put it on that downbeat or move it to the and of 4. All of those can create almost a completely different vibe, especially if you don't even change the melody. So if like I go, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. I don't know if I did it. It's hard. It's really hard to do. I almost have to write it out so I sing it or play it that way. But basically, I would have gotten to this. Da, da, get to that C, B, C, B, G early. So. And you can just play the scale like I'm playing a G scale and see what your range is. You're not going to want to sing down there. But, that D note is good. The G note is good. The B note's good. The C's not bad. Oh, yeah. Sam Cooke, are you kidding me? Oh, those transitions. And then that's, again, I messed up when I came up with a verse for this. I did the same rhythm, right? So you almost intentionally have to come up with a different rhythm, which then you're talking about, well, wait a minute, but I already have lyrics, so I've got the same lyrics. And now here's the thing too, like the Sam Cooke song, which I think I put away. Yeah, it's gone. He did. So that fourth line is completely different. The second line's a little different from the first and third line. First and third line are identical, basically. The second line's a little different, a little kind of does a little lilt, and then the fourth line is completely different on the chorus. So again, if I were doing a chorus on this. That makes it different. Maybe something like that. Something like that, maybe. Then I just have to make sure the verse isn't doing the same rhythm or too close. So I could, and at that point I could change the chord progression. That sounds like a bridge right there, doesn't it? Like C, D, E minor. Anyway. So that's something where, again, I feel like a little bit of ability to write a little bit of notation, or if you have an Apple computer, you have GarageBand. So you can use your keyboard as a piano keyboard. I think you hit K and it pulls a keyboard and you can enter notes in that. There's a lot of different ways you can enter notes in. You can mess around with it. But it's a good way to kind of plug in your melody, plug in the chords, and go, oh, okay, that's cool, that's different. Or, and then it's, then you can, save that, copy and paste it, and then you can start messing around with some of the notes. Go, well, what if I went to F sharp down here and sang that? So the da 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 went da da da, or whatever, da da da. Would that be? No. I wasn't even close. Oh, I was thinking. Da, da, da. No, I wouldn't do that. Too high. But yeah, so you can actually start manipulating the melody a little bit. Now, lyrics and making the melody and lyrics work, and this is something that, Bruce, what did you say in the text? See, the funny thing is on the computer, I can't. Oh, Is that right? Let me. Let's see. I need a calendar. Where's my calendar? Calendar, where are you? There we are. March, what? Yeah. Tis quick. So, let's see. So lyrics, yeah. I'm sorry. I was looking up what Bruce texted me. I was watching a YouTube video last night and noticed that the singer was using poor phrasing and made the lyrics clumsy. It also might have been AI. Rick Beato is on a tear about AI. Yeah, I don't think this whole AI song thing is too much to worry about. I think there's definitely people that are. If your job that you do existed 100 years ago, you're fine. But if your job is new to the computer age, yeah, you might have concerns. But even still, like, people aren't going to want to deal with computers only all day, and your bosses are going. I don't know. We'll see. I know the tech. What are they? What's the people? The futurists? Yeah, I want to say techerists, but it's futurists. They think everything's going to be done by computers, and like Elon Musk thinks everything's going to be done by robots. And I definitely think robots are going to be a big part of. They already are a big part. And I read an article about all the CEOs of Ford Motor Company went to China. And they went to a car factory there, and the lights were off, and they turned on the lights, and robots were doing everything. There were no humans in this giant warehouse at all. And they were literally working 24/7 without breaks. They probably had to go recharge, and another robot would take their place. But they didn't even need the lights on. It's crazy. Now, I don't know if those cars will fall apart as soon as you drive them down the road. We'll see. But I'm sure that it's probably. I mean, we've been using automation for a long time in car manufacturing. That was a big deal back in the 70s. And so, so there's, yeah, so we'll see what happens. But the songwriting thing, whenever somebody plays me a song that's AI, I always say, oh, great, when's their show? People want to be able to, music, art, things like that. This is a human thing. This is not something that, and maybe maybe the kids being born today will be so used to getting all their music from non-existing entities that they'll be fine with it, but they'll never. I'll be the first to admit that there'll never be another Beatles. Just can't be. It's not possible. So, yeah. Thank you, Gary. Oh, retirement is great. I'm so glad you recommend it. Okay, I'm retired. Bye. You don't want me to retire. None of my clients will let me retire. The sad thing is I'll probably retire when my hands don't work, or my eyes don't work, or my ears don't. My eyes and ears are on shaky ground. So I can see I can't see anything. It's the problem. But I can see a time where it might be too difficult for me to do my job to the satisfaction of others. I can be deaf and blind, still pick up a guitar and play something, but yeah, I don't know. It's just my ears are failing me. My eyes are failing me. I will have to I'll get cataract surgery at some point. Cataract, is that right? Cataracts? I don't have, what's the other thing that old people get? I don't know. What is that? Oh, was that this? No. What's the black thing up there? Is that part of this? What is that? Is it it's on the screen. Okay. It's me. That's mine. That's a black. Okay, I see what that is. Okay. All right. So let's see what else. Yeah. So if we could talk about lyrics next week. So I'll try to be here next Monday. I wonder if my sisters will still be here. I know they don't want to be. I mean, we had fun. We were having fun, and they're leaving the house so I can have the house to myself. And so, yeah. So if you guys, we want to, how much can you post? Well, Gary just posted some lyrics there. We can even, if you want to post lyrics that you want help on, we can all work on that together and see what that would be kind of fun. We could do that. Um, and here's okay. I'm gonna just with lyrics. I'm gonna tell you one of the things I tell young people: don't use cliches. What's a cliche? This one nobody knows, so maybe you could use it. Uh, uh, I'll paint your wagon red or whatever. What is that? What is the saying? I'll paint your wagon, or I'll paint your wagon red. What's a good cliche? Just any cliche. Don't use a cliche in your songs. Be the inventor of cliches. Like, how many things did Bob Dylan write that is in the common vernacular? There are a lot of cliches that started out as song lyrics. But they weren't cliches when they were lyrics. I wish I had examples of that. I can't really think of it. You have a couple in the bag. Yeah, see, there's you might. I mean, I think if you ended a phrase with "in the bag," you could probably get away with that. I wouldn't call that a cliche, but you're not saying that. You can post a good one up on Discord. That would be great. I'm writing songs with the other guitarists from my disbanded band, about 6 to 7 originals. That is phenomenal, Sam. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm just like, again, even if I mean, you only perform it for 20 people, it's good for you. And it's really awesome to be able to have that outlet and to get feedback from people. And I'll tell you, you'll do a song you'll do an original song, and I got to do this firsthand. So I was writing worship songs, and I was doing them with churches. And the goal of a worship song, in my opinion, is to get as many people singing as possible. So if you write a really complex melodic, worship song, I know my friend Tommy Walker, he would write the most complex worship songs that were difficult to play and fairly difficult to sing and very wordy. And it would have a good chorus and a good verse, but it would also have a bridge that was like, whoa, where the heck did that come from? And so musically it was very complex. He was really into jazz and stuff, and it was very musically complex. And he asked me one time at breakfast, he said, I don't know why my songs aren't higher up on CCLI. Like, I can't crack the top 300. And I said, well, it's because I don't think, like, the players in LA and New York can play your songs, but most of the rest of the country can't play your songs. They're too hard. And the next thing I know, he wrote, That's Why We Praise Him, which was basically 4 chords. And it was his biggest hit. So, not a hit, I don't want to say hit, but it was the song that more churches did than any other. And there's revenue from CCLI. Churches pay to use music, and that music goes directly to the songwriters, which is really cool. And I made a little bit of money from that. I mean, I once got a check for $350. It was pretty amazing. It was like the first royalty I ever got. It was like, oh my gosh, this works. And then I quadrupled my efforts, and then it went to 0. So it was like, oh dang it, it doesn't matter. But can't really manipulate that kind of thing. It has to happen organically. And so, but I was writing worship songs, and I would do them at a church, a new song at church, and nobody was singing it. And I'd go, okay, we'll never do that one again. And then I would do one, and they would get it, and then I'd be like, okay, let's do that one again. Let's do that one again. I had a couple like that people, they would sing it. I had 3 that I did on a regular rotation that people liked. And once I stopped leading worship, nobody was doing those songs anymore. And people were like, oh, I forgot about that song. They were like, oh, you should do that. I'm like, I'm not leading worship anymore. So your friend Michael Stillwater, oh no. He was a master at composing simple but compelling songs that got the whole congregation singing along. Yeah, everybody was making up harmonies. Yeah, in fact, one of the best churches for worship music is up in, not Needle? What's that? What's that? It's in the valley up there in Northern California. No. California. Open maps, okay. Ooh, all bright again. It's kind of in the valley north of Sacramento, not Chico, Reading. So there's a Reading church that is, they actually have a worship, Bethel, duh. They have, it's Bethel Church in Reading. And they have, they have really good songwriters. They have actually an institute of worship where they, you can go to school there and everything. It's pretty good. There's been some really good worship leaders that came out of there. And that's kind of where, it kind of has to come out kind of organically. And they just started releasing records, and pretty soon everybody was doing Bethel songs. So, yeah, if you're near Reading at any point and you want to go to a church service, check out Bethel. I don't know if we still do any Bethel songs. I don't know. They're definitely what's that? Let me look. Oops. What did I just do? We all still there? Okay. So there you go. Raise a hallelujah. It is. Let's see. King of my heart. That's a good one. With the King of my heart. Some of those songs actually have. The biggest one is "No Longer Slaves," which is interesting. We do that one. I don't remember. I'm trying to think of how it goes. Goodness of God, raise a hallelujah. It is well. It is well is probably just it is well, but with a contemporary chorus. You make me brave, yeah. King of my heart, ever be. Goodness of God, what a beautiful name. I speak Jesus, yeah. I know all of these. Pretty much have done all of those at one point. So it's good stuff. I mean, they're really well crafted worship songs. And I told you this before. Worship music is the most formulaic music. There is no music that's that formulaic. It just has to be, because the goal is, to get the congregation singing. If the song is too complex, the melody is too complex, if it's too broad, I'm shocked that Shout to the Lord, which was huge for years, made it, because it's got, Shout to the Lord is, this range on it was, it typically an A, my Jesus, and it could have been a pop song. It was, but then it started on this C sharp. My Jesus, right? And it's like, oh my gosh. And then at the end, it's shout to the Lord, let us sing. I think it got up to E, so the range was like C sharp to E. That's a pretty wide range for the average dude sitting in there, very self-conscious about singing. And it was funny because I would tell people, because I wasn't a big raise the hands in the air kind of guy, worshiping and everything like that. I would sing along. I probably had my arms like this singing, or in my pockets and stuff. So when I had to lead worship, I had to kind of be a little bit more. Obviously, I was playing guitar, so that gave me something to do with my hands, which was huge. But I had to encourage, people to, and there were people all over the place, everything from on their knees crying with their arms in the air to, sitting like this. So you had the whole range. At my church, you had the whole range. And everybody claps at my church. So you got 2 and 4, every song. And so that was new. I'd never been to a church that everyone clapped, the whole church clapped. And so my church, it's 3,500 people in a service. It's 3 services, 10,000 people. And it can be loud. Now we're using in-ears. I miss the wedges. So when we had wedges, speakers, monitors on the floor, you could hear the church. But now that we're all on in-ears, it blocks out everything outside, and you just get the music going right in, you get the band going right in your ears. So it's a very different experience than I kind of grew up with. So I'll have to check them out. Let me cop Michael Stillwater. Okay, let me look into it. Michael Stillwater music. Michael. And I'll save this. Okay, the honoring, yeah, nice. Orchard. Okay. All right, I've got it saved. I see him there. Wait, kind of looks like me. Is that him? Yeah, it kind of looks a little bit like me. Solo guitar. Oh, interesting. So he's guitar player and everything. That's literally my the first picture that came up. That's my Taylor. So I I don't think I know him. Be interested to see if he came to one of my clinics or something. This is too bright. I'm gonna close this window. Okay, everybody. So I'll see you next week. Maybe we'll mess around with lyric writing. All right. Again, it's the lyrics you would write in your 20s are going to be very different than the lyrics you write in your 60s. I know that's true for me. In my 20s, I was writing very not, I wouldn't say political. I always said, when I would write songs, and you've heard some of these songs, oftentimes I would paint a target on myself and fire away. So it might sound like I was talking to you, and that's just because you have the same issues, but I was really talking to myself. I wasn't judging anybody. I was judging myself. And so that's a lot of lyrics. But the funny thing is that it was like my friend Kirk had to sing the lyrics, or my wife Beth had to sing the lyrics, and it was like, it was my lyrics, and it was me dealing with me, and so eventually I was singing more, so it was less an issue. But okay, all right, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much. See you soon. So glad to finally get to see everybody. Gary, glad you were here. Sam, glad you were here too. Good to see everybody. I don't think we had many people show up. What did we peak at? Oh no, wow, we had 28 at one point. That's pretty good. This is the highest we've had in a very long time. The YouTube revenues are really off. I mean, I'm making a couple $100 a month. That's it. It's barely worth my time. I did do a video where I talked about my songwriting journey, and I'm about 2/3 through that. And I'm putting in songs and hoping that they can pass muster. We'll see. Past the copyright gods. And then they're my songs, but you never know. It's really weird. And then I want to do a video on Raise the Bar, Justin Bieber's. There's somebody that's going to come out with playing it, and so nobody's figured it out, but I think he can figure it out. So, because he saw a video of me playing it somewhere, and so, Paul Davids actually posted it. So he's like, "Oh, now I know how to play it." I'm like, "Yeah, I meant to do a video on that before that video came out, but I kept putting it off." So I want to do a video on how to play Raise the Bar. I think that'll be fairly successful. I think that one will do well. I'm going to do more soloing videos, which those are shorts, and I'm putting them up on TikTok, Facebook, and also YouTube. So, and I'm putting them up. I mean, I'm uploading them individually. I'm not sharing them from one app to the other because you don't get credit for it if you do that. So I'm uploading it to Facebook, and I'm trying to generate. My friend Quist, who he's helping me with this. So he'll be playing with me at church for Easter services. So if you want to check those out, I'll try to get you a link on those. Okay? All right, everybody. I will see you hopefully next week, God willing. Hopefully my sisters are back home in their homes. And hopefully the snow lets up for a minute so they can catch flights. But yeah, they're booked on flights on Thursday. They were supposed to go home right now. Their flight was in a couple hours today, but those all of them got canceled. Everything. The whole eastern seaboard just buried. All right.